This is Erwin Keys, and you are listening to WithoutYourHead.com, baby.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal, and I'm joined by actor and comedian from MadTV and AP Bio, and from what I understand, Jurassic Park enthusiast, Lryic Lewis. How are you doing?
Yes, great, and thank you for including Jurassic Park enthusiast because
yeah, I hear
it's a true fact.
So let's start off with Jurassic Park. What is it about Jurassic Park that makes you such a fan?
You know what? I think that Jurassic Park, especially 1, came out. I don't know why at a time that I was so impressionable with like film and TV and movies that I knew that dinosaurs were extinct. But for some reason, I mean, Spielberg, as we all know, did a great job with directing, and like the puppetry just was so good that I believed it so much that movie was the movie that I was like, oh, I have to be an actor, because I was like, it all just looks so real. And so it just did it for me just with 1 movie, which was insane. But yeah, that's why I love it. It made me believe in make-believe.
Mm-hmm. I agree, because when I went to see the first one, especially, like you said, it was one of the few movies where you felt it was like awe-inspiring. Like, you know, you had like a childlike feel about it because everything was so big, and you know, and you knew dinosaurs were real at one point, and then you see them on the screen, and there was something magical about it, and the score and everything about it. It felt epic.
I mean, the score is amazing. Like, yes, but yeah, Jurassic Park is definitely a favorite of all time.
All right. Years ago, I interviewed the cinematographer of Jurassic Park, Dean Cundy. It was very cool to have him on the show. Yeah. He's done all kinds of other things, but we talked about Jurassic Park and the original Halloween and all sorts of things.
Oh my God, he did the original. I mean, okay, so he's me as a horror movie fan. I'm a fan of his now, clearly.
Yeah. So I understand you also named your dog after a character in Jurassic Park.
Yes, I named my dog Dr. Alan Grant after Sam Neill's character because I don't know why, it was either between that or Dr. Ian Malcolm. But I just felt like Dr. Alan Grant, I don't know, I feel like I really loved him in the movie. I know that he was like not a fan of kids and like all these things and gruff, but he weirdly, I don't know, like I feel like because he had like a full circle, not a full circle, but like really made a change in the movie, that I was like, oh, I'm going to name my dog after this great man in a great movie. So yeah, I love Sam Neill in the movie.
Yeah. At first I thought you were going, he wasn't a fan of kids and that's why I liked him. I was like, that's an odd reason. But I see where you want that, yeah.
So I'm like, he hates kids, and so do I. Like, no, it's
So how did you get involved in AP Bio?
Well, AP Bio came because after MadTV was great and then ended, and then like I literally just like auditioned for AP Bio, and I went in for like the producer session for Mix and Match, and I met Michael Bryan there and Andrew Singer, and as soon as I went, I read with Mary Thon, who plays Mary on the show. But me and her instantly just had like this like great connection and like high-fived in our audition, and just like it was so fun right away that I told my reps, like I was like, oh my God, this feels like my show, and it was super early. But literally I just like happened to audition and just was like, it was so well written on the page that I went in and everything just kind of like weirdly easily fell into place in almost like a scary way that I was like, this is too good to be true. But then it was just like, oh no, you all get along. Me and Mary love each other. I met Jean a little while later, and we also loved each other. And I was just like, why do I love all these people so easily? But like, it just was, I think, the perfect kind of storm where everyone was at the right place at the right time. And it just happened to be just a pilot audition that turned into, as I would like to say, comedy gold.
Right.
Excuse me.
What's it like to work? No, that's perfect. What's it like to work with a cast of? Because there's so many fellow funny people on the show, so I assume it must be a good time to work with all of them.
You know what? I would say it's amazing, but I feel like that's cliche. It's almost like going back to comedy school. Like, we all are so funny in our own right, between like Paula Pell and Patton and Glenn and Mary and Jean and like even Michael Bryan, like in our guest stars, like everyone is so funny, but everyone is so funny in a slightly different way that I take something from everyone and we all like learn and take from each other, that it really, whenever we go on set and go to work, it truly is like comedy school. Like we're learning something, and it's like one of the, I feel so lucky to be on that set because I feel like I'm being challenged in a fun way, but also I'm being able to spitball and kind of like shoot my shit with some of the fastest minds in comedy, which just makes me feel like, especially like someone like Patton Oswalt, that I'm like, he's incredible, and it's like punching up our jokes, or like when we improvise in scenes and he's like, oh, don't forget you said that because it was so funny. It's like someone like that to just be like watching all the time and go, oh, Lryic, remember like you said this and then like that was great. And it's just like, how did I get so lucky? Like it feels truly like it is a blessing, but it's like I just feel very lucky to be surrounded by greatness on every level.
Mm-hmm. When you mention that, I think sometimes people think if you improv on set or ad lib that it just happens in that one take. But like you were saying, can you kind of explain that, how that comes about? Like you might say different things, and then he says, "Well, remember to use this line when we actually film it," or like. So how does that work?
Oh yeah, so Michael Bryan, who's our creator, is Second City Chicago, and so I think that because he's from an improv and sketch background anyway, and so are Mary and Jean and myself. Like I'm the lone groundling, as I tell people on the show, because Mary and Jean are also both Second City Chicago. But Patton's a stand-up, and Glenn obviously has Always Sunny. But it's like we do maybe one or two takes, quote unquote, clean, where it's just like as written, and then literally after that, for like 3 more takes, Mike is like, do whatever you want. And like, granted, we stay within the parameters of like the improv and like the script, but because he's an improviser, he's totally fine and okay with us, like within the character parameters, obviously, but just like really doing whatever we want. And like a lot of our improvised stuff ends up being in the show because like it's still from the character point of view, but it's just us like playing with each other. It's us like ribbing, on Durbin and Jack and like, all these things that it just is, it all looks familial and it looks like we're having fun, which we are. But yeah, Mike is totally open to us improvising a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. So are you ever surprised when you see the finished show and find out which lines were used?
Yes, I am actually, because some stuff I feel like we say is very wild. And I'm like, NBC will never keep this. And then we watch the show and we're like, oh, they did. But which, I think is also funny. I think it's to his credit that like they trust him. They, like in the, our executives and our people trust the show so much in the tone and what the audience likes that they leave some of the wildest kind of stuff in. But I love to see what they leave in, and just like our reactions, like when we're not even talking. But a lot of, I feel like I like to say I do good face work. And I feel like a lot of my really good face work ends up in episodes that I don't even realize the camera is on me. And it's just me reacting in the best way to everyone else, which is fun. And I'm just like, oh my God, I was, and it's like a genuine reaction. So yeah, it's a great surprise to see what makes it in the episode.
Yeah. When you have a show like that, do the, so you have like both the actors who play the students and then actors who play the teachers. Do like offset? Do you all interact, or do like the student actors kind of their own group and the teacher actors their own group?
I mean, you know what? It's both. I mean, the students definitely, because we shoot on like very different days. So like the teachers, we're normally all shooting on like the same day together. We'll see the students in passing, but like we rarely, except for what people see on TV, shoot with them, or the students are there like most days of the week all together. So we are like kind of our own little cliques, but however, we definitely co-mix, coexist, and we enjoy each other so much. Like the students are all so great, they're funny, and because they're all like in real life grown, we can all like we go out, we and that's the thing. It's like we, it's like on TV they're high school kids, but it's like in real life they're like grown ass humans. So we all go out, we go for drinks, we like truly kick it, and they're great. And so like it's also so delightful to both sides when we do get to do scenes together, because it rarely happens that we truly enjoy it. But yeah, so a little bit of both. We have our own things. Me and the teachers, we like have happy hours together. We do like dinners together. We cook for each other. Like, yeah, it's definitely we all love on each other hard outside of work as well.
Mm-hmm. Doing the show, does ever bring back good or bad memories of high school for yourself?
It brings back the best ones. You know what? I feel like I loved high school, and I feel like I wasn't even like I wouldn't say I was like an over popular kid in high school or like overly cool at all. But like doing the show reminds me of just like the awkwardness of high school. And I feel like that's what high school is all about. Like high school is about the awkward kids, but that are cool that you don't realize they're cool in high school. And it's so fun to just watch. Like even our set smells like a high school, which sounds gross, but it smells like it, which is just so. But it's so dope. But I feel like it reminds me of the best parts where it was fun, and we were all awkward and weird. None of us knew what we were doing. None of us knew our bodies. None of us knew how to talk to each other. But it was just great. So yeah, it reminds me of the best parts of high school.
Yeah. You mentioned the Groundlings. So how do you get into the Groundlings, and what interested you about improv comedy?
Oh, wow. Well, what interested me about improv was, I think I grew up like a lot of people watching like In Living Color and Saturday Night Live. And I think I was always theatrical as a kid. And so for me, I was like, I don't know, like I started with that. And so that I was like, I really wanted to do SNL or In Living Color or MadTV. Like I felt like they were the perfect blend of theater and TV. And because I love them both, like I think they both are amazing. And I was like, I want to do a show like that so I can perform for a live audience, but still be taped into the nation. Like I want everyone to see me, but I want to be in an intimate setting for a live audience. And the Groundlings came into play because I went to Syracuse for theater, so I got my BFA there. And right away, I think I kind of knew that I really wanted to do sketch comedy and improv. And I just felt like I just wanted to, like, I really enjoyed making people laugh and entertaining. And so I started researching people that I admired. So we came across people like Jennifer Coolidge, Sherry O'Terry, Will Ferrell, like Chris Kattan, like people like that I was like, oh, I am in, like Phil Lamar. Like I was like I loved where their careers were. And later came Kristen Wiig. But it was like I love where their careers were. And I was just like, I wanted to have the comedy muscle like they had. Because to me, they had something a little bit different and more special than a lot of other people. And so I just happened to like legit Google back in the baby days of Google. And through just the process of elimination, I just was like, oh, they all went to this place called the Groundlings, which I had no concept of the Groundlings. I had no idea what it was. Like I said, I was in upstate New York, and I was just like, what is this theater in LA, the shitty theater? In LA, there's only one of them. Like I was like, oh my God, Second City is everywhere, and UCB is everywhere, and the Groundlings is one place. Like I just really was like, what are they talking about? But I did my research, and I literally just took a chance that I was tired of the thunder snow in upstate New York. And I was like, I just wanted a change of climate and, place. And so I came to LA, and I visited the theater, and like, we have our alums and, our past show pictures on the walls. And I saw everyone who had came through the theater, and I was like, oh, I just felt like I needed to study there. And so that was it. And I auditioned, and it took me 8 years to get into the main company, which was,
oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Like it was great. It was like, cause there was like, now that it doesn't exist as much, but when I was coming to the school, it was like the wait list for certain levels were like 3 years long and 2 years long. And it was crazy, but 8 years later, got into the main company, and here we are today.
Yeah. So how would you say that that improv, besides comedy itself, how has it helped you in other ways, like with your acting or anything really?
Well, especially improv, I think it's even great for people who want to do like public speaking, because it really keeps you, I think, spontaneous and on your toes. and keeps you out of your head. And so for me, with even other auditions, whether it be like dramas or like dramedies, where I'm able to look at a script and play with it in a way that, like, I don't know why, but I just feel like I'm not scared of it. Like, I'm not intimidated by it because I'm just like, I know the character, I know their intention, I know what they want. And because of my improv background, I'm free to kind of play within the script versus feeling like I'm beholden to the words that are on the page. That, you know what I mean? And it's very freeing.
Mm-hmm. That's used to be, well, I guess it still is a thing that people mention sometimes, that women aren't funny, or they can't be funny, whatever. Did you come? Was that ever a thing for you when you were trying to get into comedy? And is that different now? Has it changed over the last few years?
Yes. No, was the thing that like affected me?
Yeah.
It was. I think, like, I mean, legitimately, and I was gonna say, I had a guy at like a fucking mixer, like, of all places, that like I didn't even know him, had the audacity to be like, and I think it's a thing with women that can be funny, and I don't even say this to be like facetious or whatever, but it's like, I feel like it's also this weird double standard that like attractive women can't be funny. And
right.
To me, I think it's ugly because it's like, you don't have any experience, you don't know what it's like. Where it's like, all because I'm cute today, bitch. Don't sleep for a minute. Think I wasn't an ugly duckling yesterday, girl. Girl, yesterday I was the ugliest duckling that you would have seen, girl. Like, it's been a long road. And I think that's the assumption, that's like, you're cute, so you don't have a experience. But I had this guy tell me, and he was like, "Oh, no one will ever take you serious because you're too cute." And I was just like, and I was so offended because, A, I didn't feel like that, but I was also like, you don't know, like, I feel like a lot of comedy comes from pain, unfortunately. But I think it comes from like struggle. Like, I think a lot of like some of the funniest comedians are like very troubled, and like, you know what I mean? Like, we have a lot of back shit to us that the only thing we have left is to laugh at our pain. And so I think
it helps you cope with that.
It helps you. Yes, I think that regardless of, we get rap because it's this thing of like, oh, well, you're too hot, you're too this, you don't look like someone who's gone through anything. And I think that I feel fortunate for women like Jennifer Coolidge, or like Shirley Terry, even like Sarah Silverman, or Lisa Lampanelli, or like Tina Fey, women that have changed the landscape of that and gone, no, like, we can look like whatever we look like and still have a story to tell, or still have a comedic point of view, or still be fucking funny. And, it's beyond like what you think, because you can't step outside of your box. So, but yeah, that was definitely a thing that, like I said, I had a man literally say to me, he was like, "Oh, you'll never be taken serious because you're little and you're cute. So like, why are you funny?" Mm-hmm. And I was like, why is that a discredit to what I have to say? But he was just like, "Well, you're a girl." Has
that changed over time?
Oh, I think so. I think that now, people are just seeing that, and I know it's like very cliche, but I think it really is truly saying that there's more than meets the eye. And I think that especially when it comes to comedy isn't it doesn't look one way. It isn't one voice. It isn't one part of town. It isn't like one socioeconomic class. It's everyone. And so I think that over time we are getting to see, even from men, like, but just from everyone, different ethnicities, different types of people that look different but are saying shit out of their mouth that you'd be like, what? But it's because, comedy, I feel like, used to be like this frat club, and it's not anymore. And it's, I feel like, becoming wide open, and I think for the better, that we're getting more voices in, we're getting more point of views, we're getting more faces in there that are bringing more stories to light that I think need to be told, because it's truly reflective of the time and the place that, like, we live in.
Mm-hmm. So, when you were growing up, was there any certain comedian that made you want to get into comedy?
You know what? I'm trying to think, because I feel like there had to have been. I think it was like, and this came later in life for me, because like I said, I grew up watching like MadTV and then Living Color and all of that early on. But I think that the person that really did it for me was Bernie Mac.
Okay.
Because I don't do stand up, but his stand up was just some of the rawest, but like just so honest that really made me, him and Regina Hall. So I will say two. Regina Hall from Scary Movie did it for me 1,000 times over. Like, she made me feel like, especially as a Black woman, she was funny in a way that I feel like we hadn't seen on film. Like, truly no vanity. She was the butt of the joke. Like, in a way that I was like, oh, I'm that girl. Like, I was like, I'm the stupid one. Like, I'm not stupid in a bad way, but I was like, I'm the goofy one. Like, I was like, I don't want to be the hot one. I want to be the person that doesn't get it. Like, I was like, I want to be the one that's like fighting dragons and skeletons. So Regina Hall did it for me in more ways than one, because I feel like, and the Wayans brothers, I will give them credit for that too, brought something to the screen that we hadn't seen. But also, truly Bernie Mac, like the way he told stories just was so funny and so raw. And I feel like humanized people that had never been humanized in the public before. Like, he made kids seem like little pieces of shit, and like grandparents seem like great. And I think that in comedy, he said things, and of course other comedians have as well. But I think that when I was young, he was one of the people that I saw that said things in a way that he was truly fearless and unapologetic, and was a voice for things that you didn't want to say, but that we were all thinking. So,
so since you you grew up watching MadTV, what was it like when you found out you're going to be on the new MadTV?
It was surreal. Like, when I found out they were rebooting it, I literally took a screenshot of the Deadline article, emailed my team, and was like, I have to be in this. And they were like, great, girl, we'll like try to figure it out. And I was like, no, because it was a little kismet for me. Like, I feel like MadTV was always like the bad big brother of SNL, where they got to kind of do a little bit more and be a little bit more risque than SNL. And so when I went in for all the auditions, even that process was surreal. The fact that every email was like callback from MadTV, and I was like, what are you talking about? But once I knew that I booked MadTV, the revival, it just felt crazy. It felt crazy. And I even told myself then, even if it was for one season or whatever, I was like, to just be a part of this family at any point in time is insane in the best way, because they're icons. They're incredible. Like, I just did a show at Mike McDonald last night, and he's amazing. And so it's like to be in the roster and be like, oh yeah, I did the same show that Mike McDonald, Mo Collins, Will Sasso, Phil Lamar, Alex Bornstein, all these people did. It's like, how can you say that and not be like, I'm probably pretty cool to someone?
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. So I also read that you're into true crime. So what's the appeal there?
Oh, okay. So this is a deep river. So put on your life vest, okay? So I think true crime came because if I wasn't an actor, I used to want to be a forensic scientist.
Okay.
So put that out in the streets. But so I grew up weirdly also watching like Rescue 911. If you remember that show that William Shatner hosted. Shout out to William Shatner. Loved Rescue 911. But I was always like, I love CSI, only Las Vegas, sorry for Miami and New York, the other one. But like, I love CSI. I love like forensic files. Like, to me, forensic science and true crime is like a puzzle you work backwards from. And as a kid, I loved puzzles. So like, it always interested me to be like, how do we start with blood splatter, a couple casings, a body, you know what I'm saying, a blood pool, and like a sandwich, and get to who murdered these people. And I thought it was fascinating. So to me now with true crime, all these podcasts and these shows, it's like, I can't even explain to you the joy I get watching these shows and listening and being like, I know who killed him. And going through the journey with these detectives and prosecutors and the DAs and everybody from the town, trying to figure out the mysteries, like, it's fascinating to me. And I also think that it's like, I low-key feel like I kind of want to be like a DA and try to solve all these, like all the cold case files, which there's not enough time in the world, but I want to solve all these crimes and like help these families. But yeah, I think it's fascinating how far we've come with technology and DNA. And I just think it's so like, I like everything about the Golden State Killer. Like, I know about serial killers. I know about them all. I love every facet of it.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Museum of
runs very
Have you ever been to the Museum of Death in Hollywood? Speaking of serial
You know what?
killers?
Weirdly, I have not.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. I've driven past it obviously a million times. I'm always like, what's in there? I think because I don't know what it is that it like weirds me. Like if it was a museum of like serial killers, I would have went a million times. Because it's a museum of death, I'm like, what type of death? Like I don't know what's gonna meet me when I go in there.
Yeah, when I was in the area a few years ago for the premiere of a movie, and my friend and I rented an apartment on Hollywood Boulevard, and we went to the Museum of Death, and the first room is all about serial killers. It's very strange.
Really?
It's all actual artwork from like famous serial killers, and it's very fascinating to look at. But it's very weird at the same time. So it's definitely not for everybody.
Check it out.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was always curious, but I'm always like weirdly by myself when I remember that I haven't gone, and I'm like, you can't go to the Museum of Death by yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. Then people just think
that's sad.
Yeah. They'll think your artwork will be in there eventually.
Yeah, they're like, she's clearly a serial killer, and she's looking for a way to get ahead. Great. So yeah.
Yeah. There was like almost like a comic strip that was written by the son of Sam who talked to his dog, and it's terrible, but it's terrible to say it's funny, but it was how to catch a fat woman, and he wrote like you lure him with like a meatball sub and then take him to this place, and so I'm laughing at part of me is laughing, but at the same time it's like, well, this is horrible because this guy actually did kill these people. But it was,
oh my God!
It's very bizarre. It's very strange. Definitely worth.
Boo to the son of Sam. Boo, son of Sam.
Yes, yeah. He's got little smiley faces on the meatballs. It's very.
Oh
no! If you didn't know he's a real guy, maybe you think it's funny, but then you think, oh, this is a real killer. So it's. There's
a real person that like really enjoys this shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not a place for everybody, but I like this.
I think as a true crime fan, I feel like I owe it to myself to go.
Yeah. I would check it out. Some of the other rooms, not so much, but I like the first room with all the serial killers. So what do you have in the works?
One in the works. I'm actually shooting for. Right now for season 4 of Baskets. I have a recurring on there. So I'm back playing with Louis Anderson and Zach Galifianakis, they are both great. So I'm shooting that right now and watching my episodes of AP Bio as they air now, which is great and also terrifying because I hate to see myself on TV. And yeah, that's like it. I'm teaching at the Groundlings and performing and just trying to stay busy until we go back to work, keeping it very light and playing very hard with my dog, Dr. Alan Grant.
Yeah. So what's it like to have a recurring role? Because you're not, on every episode, so you're not there all the time with everybody, but you're still back and forth. So how is that experience different than a show that you're, a series regular on? And do you still have like a good relationship with the people involved?
Yeah, you know what? I think that with Baskets is very unique because everyone there is so nice that I think if you recur on the show, they're just so great that when you go to set there, it is like a little family where everyone like knows each other. We all remember each other. So even if it's not by name, it's like, hey, I saw you last year. And it's like very warm. So, I mean, it feels a little different because obviously when you're on your own show, it's your turf. I know exactly where to sit. I know I can go to my trailer. I know who I can play with or not. Whereas on a different show, even as a reoccurring, it's different. But like I said, for Baskets, it's such a unique show where everyone is so great and just nice, where you still feel at home, where no one makes you feel out of place. And so, doesn't quite feel like AP Bio, obviously, but it definitely is like, oh, I'm good. So I feel like I can go there and be comfortable. And yeah, everyone, like Louis Anderson made me an almond milk shake last season every day that I came because he was like, And no one else knew, and it's not their job, but he was like, Lyric's lactose intolerant, and he was like, so she needs almond milk. He was like, make her one.
So am I.
But it's little stuff like that that I told him once, the season before that, and he remembered and was like, no, Lryic can't have milk. But it's little stuff like that that, like, I was like, oh, thank you. And he was just like, yeah, you can't have milk, duh. But I was like, it's not a duh to so many, you know, like so many other sets, they wouldn't clock it. Like, they would just be like, whatever. But for him, he was like, I can't have milk either, so I remember.
Yeah, so am I. And actually, I'm trying for the first time walnut milk today in my tea, which is pretty good, too.
Do you like oat milk?
I've not tried the oat milk. I did have like the plant-based milk. It was pretty good, but I think I like the almond milk.
Very good. Or macadamia is delicious. Do you like macadamia nut cookies?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well then, my friend, do you realize how sweet the macadamia nut naturally is, my friend? The macadamia nut milk if you can get that milk, you're good. My friend,
I'll be on the outlook.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Macadamia nut milk will be different.
Excellent. So, where can people follow Lryic Lewis on the internet to find out what you're up to?
Yes.
What kind of milks you're trying? Yeah.
They can see what kind of milks I'm drinking. They can see what kind of coffees I'm drinking on Instagram. I'm Lryic D. Lewis. I'm the only Lryic D. Lewis, so they can find me there. And please let them know I'm very active with my Instagram stories, and I do talk back in messages. I enjoy them. So, like, Instagram is all of our friend because I'm thoroughly into Instagram. Like, I'm into it. On Twitter, I'm Lryic Said What? But with just Lryic Said WHAAA, no T, 3 days. Very fun. So that way, just like, what? Lryic Say What? That's the Twitter, but Instagram is the quickest way to find me. And I mean, they both are quick, obviously, on the internet, but Instagram is the quickest response and the more interactive because, like I said, I'm doing stories all the time. I love talking about Naked and Afraid on Instagram. So, yes. So
very cool. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And Lyric's a very cool name, by the way. I like the Lryic Lewis. It rolls off the tongue.
Thank you so much.
It's a neat name. You're welcome.
That's what I say. I like to say it's the only thing my parents did right was give me a cool name. No shade to my parents. Shout out to my parents. Hi, guys. I'm sure you guys are doing great. You guys did a great job. But that's one of the few things that they managed to nail.
Very good. Yeah, they nailed it. It's good. It's good. I like it.
They did.
So I appreciate you coming on. It's very fun to talk to you.
And thank you so much for having me. And you have a great weekend. I look forward to hopefully coming back one day.
Yeah, definitely. You have a good weekend as well.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye.
This is Randall Malone, darling, and you are listening to WithoutYourHead.com.